So, the reason we're addressing this today is because if you have a child who is a preteen, which now, believe it or not, starts around the age 8, all the way through young adult, and we're never done being young adults, right? We are, once we're a kid, once you have a child forever. That child can be 40 and they will still act and be a child in your eyes. So you have a child forever. But parents are often at their wits' end with their children's and helping them manage their emotions. And we know this is especially true for those kiddos who have ADHD because transitions are hard. They're emotionally dysregulated. They get triggered off of the different things. They're being told no a lot. There's a lot more entangling that we need to do there with kiddos who are ADHD and also those who are neurodiverse. And parents do not know how to manage our kiddos, right? We've tried it all, and what works for quote unquote neurotypical peers doesn't always work for our children. And so we need to get creative here. What this causes at home is a lot of stress, lots of overwhelm, anger, frustrations that often leads to punishments, right? Because when they are triggered, they trigger you. And when we're triggered, we are emotionally dysregulated. And so what happens is it leads to a punishment, especially as kids get older, because we expect them to be doing better than they are. They should know this. They shouldn't talk to me like this. But guess what? They are. And so because the expectation is not met, that becomes a trigger for us. And what happens is it's like we kind of just vomit. A punishment comes out that we didn't mean for it to come out, and now we got to stick to it because now we said it to them, right? And so, there's not a lot of forethought behind the punishment that's set. So in an effort to nurture their independence, we actually dilute our relationship with them, because in our efforts to teach them something, what we're doing in through the punishment is straining our relationship with them, right? Our role as their caregivers is to keep them safe. They don't have the skills, nor do they have the maturity to know right from wrong all the time, especially during these teen years when we know they are stimulated by dopamine, they crave risk-taking behaviors, right? So to learn from the mistakes, to think critically and make informed decisions, we must support them. The problem is we don't always know how. Our job then is to step in and help them understand the reasons why these consequences are being imposed on them, and to collaborate with them, and we'll talk more about that. So how do we do this? How do we strain our relationship with our children? Well, first, we often punish them for mistakes and undesirable behavior. So we make them feel like they're the bad guys. They've done something bad, and now we need to come in and fine them for that. We are so frustrated sometimes that we just blurt out the punishment, and this leads to resentment. What? Where did this come from? Why is my dad acting like this? Like, this came out of the blue. I thought it wasn't a big deal. He made it a big deal. These are the thoughts that go behind our children when we impose a punishment on them, right? Now they're not expecting that punishment to have occurred, and now they're even more triggered, and you're triggered, and now this is the perfect storm, right? Like, this is how we strain relationships with one another. So today we're going to discuss how to create an environment where children learn from their mistakes, a strategy to foster effective discipline, stronger relationships based on trust and mutual respect, and ways for you to empower you as a parent to know that you're making the right choices when you're disciplining your child. So I'm really excited to chat with you. As a reminder, please share this group with somebody that you think would find our group helpful. We want to continue doing these Facebook group lives, and we do see that viewership goes up once the video closes. I'd love to see more of you interacting with me here so that I can make sure to address and answer your questions in real time. So please make sure that you share this so that we can continue to do this work and bring you the content that means so much to us. We also invite you to schedule a call with us if you are at your wit's end with your child, if it's causing a lot of tension, frustration, whether it be an academic challenge, a learning challenge, or behavioral challenge, please reach out to us at wethrivelearning.com so you can schedule your free 15-minute consultation, and I will be sure to get online and chat with you. I am going to tag everyone here before we get started. Oh, it's not letting me. Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so what are punishments, right? We're going to talk about the difference between punishments and consequences. We want to make sure that we all have a good understanding of what they are. So punishments are punitive actions for undesirable behavior that they are not aware about. Okay, so the child is not completely aware that the behavior is undesirable, or the child is not aware that a punishment is about to be imposed on them. Okay, so for example, they break curfew for the first time, and you decide then and there that you are going to take their car keys away, or that they won't be able to go out the next 2 weekends, right? The punishment had not been discussed. It is something that just happens impulsively because you are so upset that they broke curfew. Another one could be, so what punishments leads to shame? It leads to yelling, timeouts, and taking privileges away without discussing them first. Okay? Consequences, on the other hand, are natural and logical outcomes of an action. Okay? Natural consequences happen naturally, as it says. No one is there to intervene. Okay? So for example, your child forgets their coat, and they get cold at school, right? They get cold at school. So they forgot their coat, or they forgot their rain boots, and now their feet are wet. They forgot their homework on the counter, and they get in trouble in school. You are not imposing this consequence on them. It's just happening. It's just nature taking its course. Consequences are pre-discussed, and this is really key here. They are pre-discussed if they are not natural. Okay, so the 2 examples I gave previously were natural. Those were not pre-discussed. Those just happen so that they can learn from their mistakes. Again, they're never mistakes that are are going to intervene or come in the way of their safety. They're just natural consequences that happen. They're pre-discussed if they are not natural. So they have a logical outcome to them. So for example, they understand that it's reasonable for you to take the keys away to their car on a Saturday night if they break curfew. So before they go out on Saturday, you talk to them, hey, what's going to happen if you come home at beyond your curfew time, right? Past your curfew time. You guys can pre-discuss. You guys might come up with an agreement, and that agreement is the car keys get taken away. Okay, now they know the expectation before they break curfew. It's been pre-discussed. You guys have collaborated on it. Example, they have to clean up a mess that they've made without your help, right? So they're taking out all these toys or making a big mess with their friend, doing slime, whatever they're doing, and you tell them, feel free to do all of this. However, you must make sure that the area looks, take a picture of it just like this when you return, when you are all done, right? So they can do whatever they want with the supplies, take out whatever they want, but they must be responsible for cleaning it up. So again, it's been pre-discussed, and you both have collaborated on the consequence itself. So what are some punishments, some factors that affect punishment, right? So punishments are intended to control and penalize behavior, okay? So they often are set to restrict behavior, and sometimes the punishment is completely unrelated to the behavior. I remember once I cursed, and when I was in 4th grade, my dad found out about it, and he made me write standards. The punishment had nothing to do with me cursing, right? I didn't curse for like, I don't even know how long after that, but it didn't have anything to do with my punishment. It just happened. He also punished me once when he took away my coloring books because I loved coloring so much. Again, had nothing to do with like what I had done, just took him away because he was so upset with me at the time, and he just wanted to take something away that was meaningful to me, right? He wanted me to feel that pain so I didn't have to do the behavior again. But what that did, I just looked at him like, this is a mean beast. Truthfully, right? My dad's not, he's lovely. But at that time, I was just really upset with him. Really upset because I was really bored. So they can lead to fear. Punishments lead to fear. So they fear you because, you're coming with this tyrannic sort of power, right? They can lead to resentment, again, because they don't feel like they're being understood by you. A negative self-image. I should be punished for this. This is something I did that is very bad, and therefore I need to face consequences, right? I feel dirty, I feel messy, whatever it is. And they do not teach appropriate behavior, furthermore, right? They don't. It's just preventing, they don't teach the behavior. It leads to all these shame, guilt, resentment, negative self-image, and everyone is upset. But you are upset for imposing such a punishment that you feel bad about, you don't want to stick to it, but now you have to because you said it. And they're upset with you because, hey, like you are the mean one. You just gave them this punishment. Like, yes, they made a mistake, but they did not feel heard. They don't feel understood. They don't feel like you guys are collaborating together. So usually parents impose a punishment again on a whim, and that is also because you're just triggered. So you just blurt it out without even thinking things through. Punishments may also lead to rebellion, avoidance, and secrecy because they are going to try to hide whatever it is they think that you will punish them for. Right? They do not want to get caught, so they're going to start hiding things from you, so that you don't catch them and impose a punishment onto them. So consequences, on the other hand, are very different because they teach and guide your child. So they are often done in a much more collaborative way because, again, things have been pre-discussed and they promote learning, growth, and practice in decision making, right? Because since they are aware of the punishment in advance, now they're going to think twice about doing something. It's going to strengthen their working memory. It's going to strengthen their decision-making skills because they're going to weigh out, should I do this or should I not? I know what's coming to me. And it's going to teach them how to make better choices, right? So it's going to teach them impulse restriction. It's going to teach them collaboration. It's going to teach them decision-making. There's so much to learn here. But it's going to further, and most importantly, it encourages self-management, right? Because now they know if they do something, what the consequence of that is going to be. It's no longer a surprise. So again, they're not going to be, it's not coming to them unexpectedly. So they're going to receive it and process it a lot easier. It's going to teach them how to be responsible because, again, they're going to know what the consequence is in advance so they can make an informed decision about how to move forward. Again, emotional regulation because they are expecting this to happen. It's not coming to them as a surprise. It's going to foster problem-solving skills because A, they're going to be working collaboratively with you to impose this consequence, but also B, when they are in the moment or thinking about what to do, they are going to be making a much more informed decision. They're going to be weighing out the pros and the cons of everything to make sure that they are okay with what's coming next. And it fosters independence, right? Because again, it's teaching them how to manage themselves. And that is something that we want all our children to learn to do. So how do we implement consequences at home? Number one, when we start implementing a consequence, we need to communicate it, right? So again, this is the first step. We need to this consequence needs to be pre-discussed with your child. It would be much better if it were done in a collaborative way so that you two are working together on what that consequence is going to look like. So you can also explain the connection between the behavioral and the consequence, right? So a child breaks curfew, you take your keys away. How does that connect? Why are you choosing that consequence versus taking their allowance away? You can co-decide on a reasonable consequence. So ask them for their input. How do they think you should manage it? And then you can also ask them for, you can, if you disagree or agree with them, if you disagree with them, say, you know what, I have some other ideas about it. These are my suggestions, and this is why I'm suggesting these consequences. What do you think? Right? When we talk to our children like they are adults, like they are, a colleague that we're working with, they are going to feel respected and therefore respect you so much more. Because in the end, they are their own independent human beings. And we want to be able to respect their identity and, help them to separate themselves from us and see them as a separate person from ourselves. And then you want to be able to write it down. If your child, this is especially true if your child is little, or this doesn't rarely happen, write it down so that it's not forgotten. We know that our kiddos with ADHD struggle with working memory, processing challenges, and so things are often forgotten. What? You said that? You never said that. I never heard you. We didn't have that conversation. So write it down and have them sign off on it, so that you guys can have evidence to come back to, so that it's not a lost, forgotten conversation on either end. We want to be consistent too. So this is step 2. So first one, communicate, collaborate, be consistent. So CC, apply the consequence to reinforce learning and practice. So once you've said it, make sure you stick with it. Otherwise, they will not believe the next consequence that you collaborate with them on. So make sure you are consistent and respect your word, even if it's hard. So if you know you can't impose the punishment or the consequence for a week, what seems reasonable to you? Does 3 days seem doable to you? Stick to what you actually can stick to. Show empathy and support. So acknowledge that consequences are not fun, right? We want them to feel like you got them, you understand them. Show understanding, validate how they may be feeling, how frustrated they must be, how annoyed they are with you or with their behavior or, with their friends, whatever it may be, and support them in learning from this experience, right? So, don't get triggered at it. Be very nonchalant about it. Well, you did this. Now this is the consequence. Like, how are you going to learn from this experience? And remind them over and over again that your role as their caregiver is to keep them safe and to learn how to manage life. And this is a way for you to do that. So that is your role as a caregiver. It is to keep them safe and their bodies safe. And so that is why things like this must be done. Okay, so I really hope that we're going to go over the questions that parents have, but I really hope that we have addressed the difference between punishments and consequences for you and have shown you ways to introduce them in your household and how effective they are, why one works better than the other, and what happens when either one is practiced at home. I know in my house, we do consequences. There are times when things slip and we do punish, and then that is when I apologize, right? And we can take things back and apologize and then work from there, because we are adults and we're going to make mistakes. We're not perfect. Just because we have more years on them does not make us any more perfect or any less perfect. And remember, if you need support with your child and you want some more one-on-one coaching for your child who has ADHD, or you are looking for an educational therapist to support dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, all the DISs, expressive written language, language processing challenges, please schedule a call with us. We curate our content and meet with your child one-on-one. Every session is personalized for your child's learning profile. We collaborate and communicate with teachers, with you as the parent. You will get session notes after each session. And we will collaborate with neuropsychologists, therapists, etc., to understand your child and learn how we can best support them. We will also recommend accommodations to their school and advocate on their behalf so that they get the support and accommodations that they deserve in school. So please schedule a call with us. Again, that's WeThriveLearning.com, and I'd be happy to chat with you.